Imagine a giant field of electromagnetic waves, or radio waves, or Wi-Fi signals. Anything to help you to imagine a giant field of infinite frequencies occurring spontaneously and effortlessly. You are a spirit, or an entity, or the essence of a human. You navigate throughout the field with just as much spontaneity and effortlessness as the field occurs. You move over, under, around, and through the frequencies with no trouble at all. As you grow and mature throughout your little human essence life, you start to notice that you're attracted to certain parts of the field, and you become so attracted to them that you begin to identify with them. And then you identify with them so much that they actually become your identity. Now, with your newly found identity, you notice that there are certain parts of the field that don't jive with your new identity. And we have a name for this. We call it a problem. There are 3 ways that we can handle a problem. The first way is to do nothing. If you've ever talked to homeless people who would prefer to be homeless, this is basically their problem-solving strategy. If a certain part of the field is a problem, they just don't go there anymore, so no more problem. Unfortunately, in business and leadership, this isn't a very effective method. The second way, which is very popular, is just more of the same. We give 10% more effort of what we were doing before, or we just try a little bit harder, or we have a stab in the dark kind of approach, trying different methods until we find some kind of workable solution. This eventually will lead to a breakthrough, but there are a couple of problems with this method. Firstly, once the problem is solved, it's very unlikely that we understand the solution enough to incorporate it into our identity to replicate it again. Second is that it's extremely stressful and intensive, not a very energy efficient way to solve problems. The third way is my favorite and how our coaching works. Firstly, we've recognized that there actually isn't a problem there. Remember, the field is occurring spontaneously and effortlessly. The field doesn't have a problem. The problem only occurs when we perceive it through our identity. The problem is just the tension between the frequency of our identity and the frequency of that part of the field. When you can view and solve problems this way, problems actually become a little bit sexy. What this tension means is that we have an opportunity to recognize the tension of that situation, internalize the tension, and apply the right form of creativity for this situation. When we can do this, we get a sudden epiphany or aha moment where we know with absolute certainty, clarity, and confidence the way forward is going to work in this situation. And because we made a conscious effort to solve the problem instead of blind stabbing in the dark, we incorporate this frequency into our identity so we have a tool in the future when this kind of problem arises again. Now I can imagine some people saying, well, that's all well and good, but I can't really relate to a floating circle in an infinite field of imaginary spaghetti. Well, here's something a little more close to home. Here is your brain. We aren't going to get too technical with it, but basically you've got an old brain, or the limbic system, which is in charge of emotions and memory. Then we've got the new brain, or the neocortex, which is in charge of executive function. This part runs the visual spatial, the sensory perception, and conscious thought. So what does this have to do with little smiley circles running into invisible walls and whatnot? Well, the old brain is much the same as your identity, and the new brain is in charge of containing the tension of the old brain and applying creativity. When you do this, you get what's called in Neuropower terms a noble quality. Noble qualities are a combination of brain macrosystems that influence our team or business rather than force it. This gets leadership and everyone's subordinate out of the reactive pattern of the limbic system and into the proactive pattern of the noble quality. This is the essence of how leadership works neurobiologically. And through Neuropower coaching, it's how you can turn the tension and problems of your organization into proactive leadership and synergy. If you're interested in getting maximum efficiency out of your team, contact Clarke Associates Research at the link below.